We are attempting our take one, episode 1, to just see where it happens. See where it goes. I think
I slated that for you.
So will you slate it again?
Okay. Episode 1, take 1 of Every Day's a Bonus.
That's all right.
That's
all right.
That's all right.
All right. Are you ready, Ken?
I am ready.
Let's do this. Your microphone where you want it to be?
As close as it can get.
All right. I like that. Our knees are almost going to touch soon in a second here.
I hope not.
This is going to be exciting.
We need to build a wall under there.
I'm going to make sure they touch now. Now that I know that.
Right in the middle of it.
Hey, what was that?
Hey.
Well, welcome to Every Day's a Bonus. I am here with Kennkington. I'll be your host, Brent MOXEY, and we're excited to be bringing you this brand new podcast hitting the airwaves, Ken, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's heading out in this world. So let me introduce you first for the audience that doesn't know you.
Try that.
Ken with 2 N's, Kennkington, right? Don't get it wrong.
That's a future episode we'll explain.
That's right. There is a comedian, a father, a husband, a comedian.
We did that one.
Okay. You've got multiple things going for you here, but one of the things you also do, you're a keynote speaker.
Yeah, increasingly so. It's kind of funny.
As well.
Author. I've written a couple books.
So many great things. Movies involved. Listen, we're going to get to those as we continue with these, right? So the audience can get to know you a little bit more. But first of all, titling this thing. I mean, every day is a bonus. Where on earth does that come from?
That's episode 3.
Episode 3. So we're not allowed to talk about it right now.
Not right now, no.
Everybody viewing
but it
listening.
is. It's a statement and a title. And
okay.
Well, let me just say this is Brent MOXEY. We crossed paths, I don't know, a year or so. First time I ever saw him was on stage. And one of the funniest guys I ever saw. And I'm like, I just want to hang with that guy because humor breeds humor. And I think we had a lunch or a breakfast that went from an hour to more than that. And I'm just like, dude, I got to go there. And that's kind of where this idea, because I'd had the idea for a podcast. I thought but I don't know the format. I don't know how to make it last, but I don't know, just the creativity. I thought this has got some moxie to it.
Oh, hey.
Whoa, play on word. But yeah, so I'm pumped.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be doing this along with you. I know you've been in comedy a long time, a lot of life lessons we can learn from you, obviously. We're going to have fun while we do it, but I think people are really going to take home just the meat of what you have to say. Your story's big, it's wide, and I get a chance to unpack it with you over the next number of weeks.
Yeah, and I think decades. The core of it is going to be just, you're going to have a takeaway every week of like, man, I don't wanted to hear that. I needed to hear that. And it really came from really my crossing paths with just some of the most successful people in life. I mean, CEOs, CFOs, Super Bowl coaches, gold medal winners, just every walk of life, these super successful people. And I found myself asking questions. So it wasn't just I met them, but I mean, I'd have dinner with them. I'd travel with them and you got to talk about something. And I found out that not only they're just really people,
right?
But there's something different about them,
right?
And so I started asking 1 or 2 questions. I don't know where they came from, other than I just started thinking, okay, this would be good to ask. One was, what's a truth or principle that you've learned that's got you here? And usually they stop and think and go, man, I have to think about that. But there's always a story, and it was always just something I could apply immediately, and it was transformational. And the other one, my favorite one, is I'd ask, hey, if I could put you in a time machine and I could take you back 25 years and you had 5 minutes with you 25 years ago, what would you tell you then that you know now that you wish you knew then?
Right.
And again, incredible stories, always these incredible principles that were just like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so appreciative that I got to be privy to that. So I've started to share those.
Okay.
One of the books that I've written is the 4 Critical Decisions, because we'll get into that another time. But let me ask you that, because it's not just famous people. I find when I'm around anybody that is just doing life and getting through it, I love to ask, what's a principle that you learned early? Or if you could go back with you 25 years ago and tell you one thing that you know now you wish you knew then, what would it be?
That's good. First of all, the first thing I love that you do is you ask questions. I think in the world today, so many times we talk to somebody and we love to talk, right? Tell them everything about us. You know everything in about 3 minutes. You know everything that's going on in their life, right? Which is fine. I think when you're friends, you get a chance to do that a little bit. But I love it when we stop and ask people questions because we learn so much more. But first of all, I mean, it makes them feel a little more loved, right? You care about them. But I think we learn so much more, like you're saying there.
Heck yeah.
Something we can take away from that. So I'm getting here, Ken, that you're asking me 25 years ago.
How old would you have been 25 years ago?
I guess I would have been 18, 19.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. So let's just say let's go back there. I'm 20 years old. Let's just pretend I'm about to graduate college.
You're in your 40s?
Yeah, a little bit more. A little bit more, 46-ish. But that's where it stops. Once you hit 46, you don't get any older.
Turned 46 short years ago.
Yes, ish.
Okay, so you're in your 20.
So I'm in my 20s. What would I?
You're in college?
Yeah, I'm in college at Liberty University.
Okay, so you're walking across the campus and you, 45, 46-year-old you shows up and goes, dude, I got 5 minutes.
Yeah. First, I guess I freak out because I'm like, whoa, time travel is real, right?
Dang, I look way better than I thought I was going to look.
Or the opposite. I look horrible.
What's wrong with your head?
I should do Botox.
This is me?
Somebody said use moisturizer. Maybe I should have started doing that, and I didn't at that time. Let's see. Looking back, I would probably, first of all, I would definitely, I don't want this to sound cliche, because I don't do this, but I would remind myself, don't take life too seriously, right? Just enjoy the ride. So I think I did get a chance to talk to myself about that because I feel like I have been enjoying the ride a lot.
Okay.
I would have been engaged, so I would have said, man, make your bride, just wine and dine her, right? Just make her feel loved. I would have reminded me that happy wife, happy life, right?
Okay.
That would have been a good thing because that
was a good thing.
That's a good takeaway. Let's see. I would have probably looked back and said, this is, again, don't want this to sound cliche, but if I would have heard it then, I think it would have just floated right over me.
Okay.
But I would have said,
but coming from
myself,
from in the future,
guess I would have listened to me. I should listen to me.
Okay.
Always listen to yourself. I would probably say, find something you love to do and then figure out how to work that into what you do every day.
Okay.
I don't know. So if that's
every day is a bonus.
If that's comedy,
that
is acting, if that is teaching, it doesn't mean that has to be your job.
Right.
It could.
Right.
But I think I would tell myself, find a way to work that love and that passion into whatever you're doing. That's what I would tell myself.
That's awesome.
That's good. But now what about you? Is this something you're going to get a chance to answer
Well,
for us?
I will eventually, but I just wanted to have the introduction to the core of what it is. And I wanted to give one of my favorite examples right out of the gate of one of those answers for me. So this is going to be the heart of each episode where I'm going to share something that somebody had shared with me that instantly impacted me, but was also incredibly applicable to every part. And for me, I'll just say, I'll call him Bill because that was his name. And Bill was the head of a national organization, Princeton MBA, former officer in the Air Force, and we're playing golf. And I'm at an event, I'm going to be performing there, and we're playing golf. And I said, Bill, I got to ask you, is there a truth or a principle that you've learned that's gotten you where you are? And Bill was very contemplative, and he's like, I have to think about that. And he didn't say anything. And we went like 6 more holes, and out of nowhere, he's like, I think I have your answer. I'm like, what was my question? Okay, But he said, I was a young officer in the military. I was in the Air Force, one of my first assignments, and the base commander had given me assignment. And it was this construction piece. It was over budget. It was behind schedule. And I got called in. He said, Monday morning, this is like Friday. He says, Monday morning, I want to report. Well, being the due diligence guy he spent the entire weekend going over details and trying to come up with every scenario or every question he would ask. Why are we behind schedule? Why are we over budget? What are you going to do? Da, da, da. And he says, I had all of it. I've got my binders together. I walk into the commander's office And he says, I'm thinking, okay, I got this. And the base commander is like, Captain? He says, yes, sir. He says, I got one question for you. And man, he says, my mind is racing like, okay, he's probably going to ask this or this or this. And so he's got it in his mind. He says, are you a thermostat? Are you a thermometer? And he said, again, it took me till he's like, sir, I'm so sorry. I don't understand the question. And he goes, are you a thermostat? Or are you a thermometer? And he said, just let it hang out there. And he's like, man, sir, I'm so sorry. I don't understand the question. And he says, well, Captain, a thermometer has a death grip on the obvious. It can tell you what the exact temperature is in that room. But a thermostat, it's also got a thermometer in it, but it is actually connected to resources. And a thermostat decides what is optimal. And it will use those resources until optimal becomes reality. Now, Captain, let me ask you again. You a thermostat or you a thermometer? And he says, I'm a thermostat, sir. And literally the base commander said, as you were. He wasn't interested in the minutia of the details. He was wanting to know, are you going to be responsible? Are you going to do whatever it takes? Are you going to use the resources you have to make this happen? I got to tell you, I think we spend the next 4 or 5 holes, and I'm like, that's amazing. And he goes, well, it's really applicable to every area of life. He says, Ken, I'm married. I got twin daughters, and there's more than once I've walked into the house, and it's chaos. It is estrogen chaos. And I got a choice. Am I just going to sit there and go, yep, it's crazy? Or am I going to take the resources? Am I going to dive in? What is optimal? What are my options? Right. And how am I going to make optimal reality? Am I going to get in the middle of it and resolve this issue? Or am I just going to be a fly on the wall? And I'm like, man, way too convicting. Let's move on. Oh, wow. So when you hear that, think about some areas of your life. What happens and how do you apply something like that?
That's really good, Ken. Like, so what I'm taking away from this is be a doer, be somebody that makes a difference. Don't just sit and watch. Anybody can sit and watch. Right. And it's good to observe, right? Where a lot of times you're sitting in a room with people and you've got to listen for a little while before you make that first, unless it's you and I, then we're probably the first to talk out of the gate, right? Hey, everybody, welcome to the meeting. So glad to see you. But as a good communicator would be, we would listen for a little while before we started making comments or ideas, right? So this is not just about a brainstorming session. This is about life. Like, are you just going to sit and listen, or are you going to be the one to actually bring something to the table?
And I think that's the other part. The other part I got was, as he's telling me, the thermostat's connected to resources. So instead of just stating the problem, which, I mean, our society is, everybody's got their opinion, everybody's got this, and everybody's talking. Everybody's saying somebody ought to do something.
Right.
Well, congratulations. Those who are really successful are the ones that I'm somebody.
Do it.
I don't have the answers, but what resources do I have? What can I do? And how can I make a difference?
Yeah, I love that.
And one of the phrases that I've learned to live by, and I'll probably say it 1,000 times, everybody can't do everything, but everybody can do something.
That's right.
And I guess another way to say it is, are you part of the solution or the problem? And just restating it over and over and over is just like, okay, that's crazy.
This sounds like something you would tell yourself when you were younger. A lot younger. Many years ago. So many years ago. I mean, what would you, 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah, I would have gone back and I would have pulled myself off the dinosaur and said, now listen to me. Right. This is important.
Electricity. What is this? Right? What do I do with it? Does it make a fire? I don't even know. Right?
Buy stock in General Electric. What's electricity?
That's a good point.
You're going to love it. I promise.
Can I change my answer? I would go tell myself the stocks to buy at that age. How about compound interest rate? That's what I would have told me. Invest in something and let it compound. But
that's right. The Bills are going to lose 4 Super Bowls. Bet against them every Super Bowl.
The Cubs will never win a World Series.
We can talk about that episode 3.
So sports. When we start talking about sports and all the points. So yes, but that's good. Ken, that's a nugget. Maybe that's where we kind of bring today in for a landing. A little bit, right? We stop on that nugget and let everybody just kind of chew on that. If you're driving to work, if you're sitting at home, if you're listening, if you're watching, whatever it is, these little nuggets that Ken's learned throughout his life and that we get a chance to talk about is something that now you're not meant just to say, check it off the list. I listened. Now it's like, what would I tell myself 25 years ago? How am I, if I didn't get a chance to tell myself 25 years ago, what can I do now moving to the next step? Can I go make a difference in something somewhere? However small you might think it is, it could be very big to somebody else. So don't just be a fly on the wall, be a dinosaur eating the man.
Or I would give a couple other cool takeaways. One, find somebody that you admire today. And just go, hey, what's a truth or principle that you live by, or if you could tell yourself something, ask somebody the question and then just listen. That's a great takeaway. The second one, I would say, especially if you're driving or you're working out, what if I could snap my fingers and change that area of your life that you're frustrated or overwhelmed in? What would that area be? And then ask yourself the question in that. How can I be that thermostat in that? What are the resources? What can I do? Maybe I can't resolve it all today, but what's one thing I can do? What's one step I can take and do that? So I would say that's probably a great takeaway and landing spot of just saying, hey, either ask somebody one of the questions or ask yourself, what resources do I have and what can I do?
I like that. That's good. Well, let's, that seems like a bonus to me, right? Every day is a bonus, Ken. I just want you to know that. Next time, there's going to be another one. Let's do that. Well, let's wind it down right now, and we're going to say goodbye to you guys out there in TV land and audio land. And Ken, thanks for being on your show. It's an honor to be here hosting alongside you and pulling these nuggets out. And next time, we will pull even a bigger nugget from your brain, right? We may have to change nuggets. Oh, okay. We're going to bring something out here. So, all right, folks, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Adios.